Mark Rogers TV on the Indiana quarterback situation in the aftermath of Tre Roberson deciding to transfer from IU. Let's first look at Roberson and his career in Bloomington. He was really Kevin Wilson's first big recruit, big signing coming out of Indianapolis as a prep star. Roberson was the first true freshman to start at quarterback at Indiana in program history in 2011. He took his lumps that season with 3 touchdowns and 6 interceptions and was benched repeatedly. Came back in 2012, won the starting job, and unfortunately broke his leg in the second game against UMass after throwing 2 touchdowns and 1 pick in 2012. But because of that injury situation and missing most of the season 2 years ago, he picked up a medical red shirt, and therefore he's got 2 years of eligibility for some school in which he will transfer to. Okay, coming back in 2013, split time again with Nate Sudfeld. Sudfeld, the pocket passer. Kevin Wilson and also the Indiana coaching staff believe that Sudfeld's a future NFL quarterback. Roberson's the dual threat. Let's not take away from his passing, though, but a dual threat. So Sudfeld gives you nothing in the running game. He cannot escape the pocket. Roberson, big-time escapability, ran for over 400 yards and 5 touchdowns last season, 10 rushing touchdowns in his career at IU. It's interesting to note, if you just look at the time given to Sudfeld and the stats, Sudfeld looks like the better passer. Completed for a higher percentage last season, 21 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and 8 starts. Roberson got just the 4 starts, and he threw for 15 touchdowns and 4 picks. So only 4 picks for Roberson, 9 for Sudfeld, and a little bit more passing attempts. Also keep in consideration, though, that Roberson played better against the big teams. Look at this line against Missouri. Let's start with the Tigers, who, of course, went to the SEC championship game. 8 for 14 with a touchdown as the Hoosiers put up 28 points on one of the best defenses in the country, 45-28. All right, he went 11 of 17, 2 touchdown passes and a pick against Michigan State when the Hoosiers scored more points against Sparty than any team on Michigan State's schedule in 14 games, 42-28 Michigan State. Then in that ridiculous shootout, or should we call it blown coverage game against Michigan, 63-47 Wolverines at the Big House. It wasn't Sudfeld ripping up the Wolverines as much as it was Roberson. 288 yards passing, 3 touchdown passes, 1 pick against Michigan's 63-47 loss. And then it's ironic that Roberson's shining moment, one of the most prolific offensive displays in the history of IU football against arch rival Purdue, a lousy team, a lousy defense, but at the same time, ironic, it's his last game against his arch rival, and Roberson tore up Purdue in a 56-36 win. 6 touchdown passes, 154 yards rushing, about 430 yards total offense. And now he's gone. And based on all the reports, he and Sudfeld were neck and neck during the spring, and it was a neck and neck competition coming into the fall. I don't think there's any question based on Kevin Wilson wanting to throw the football downfield and have a pro-style attack, not in regards necessarily to formation, but going downfield, that he favored Sudfeld. Sudfeld, despite what we just told you right there, Roberson playing better against the big teams in the big spots, Sudfeld given the nod in 8 starts versus Roberson's 4. Again, Sudfeld threw 21 touchdowns last year, but 8 against Indiana State and Navy the first 2 games of the season. Then he only threw 13 touchdowns his last 6 starts. Okay, Roberson played better in the big games against the big opponents. Okay, what does Indiana have coming back to help out Nate Sudfeld, who, again, Kevin Wilson touts as an NFL-type quarterback? Well, they, of course, lost maybe the most prolific receiver in Indiana history. I know there's some argument there, but Cody Latimer caught 72 passes last season. He's off to the New Orleans Saints. You also have Ted Belser, the tight end, who's in Washington camp with the Redskins, caught 35 passes last year. So the starting tight end gone, and also the second most prolific receiver on the team last season, Kofi Hughes, in Houston Texans camp after catching 47 passes. Okay, the leading touchdown receiver last season, though, is back. Shane Wynn caught 11 touchdowns among his 47 receptions. Indiana fans, your thoughts on Tre Roberson leaving the school, Nate Sudfeld being by far, he is definitely the starting quarterback now, so at least that clears things up And Kevin Wilson has had his decision made for him this season. And they've got some problems, though, in trying to keep Sudfeld on the field. Not much to back him up in true freshman Zach Diamont. He is the only scholarship quarterback other than Sudfeld for the Hoosiers. Again, Indiana football fans, chime in on the Roberson situation and your outlook for Indiana's offense under Kevin Wilson here in 2014, right here on Mark Rogers TV.